Ciao ragazzi, come va? Italy's finally opened up and we're able to see the mainland if we want to. But first, we have to visit another part of Sicily, which people keep telling us that we have to see. In this episode, we take a road trip to the west side.
Now the restrictions are finally lifting and Italy is opening up, and I had a 4-day weekend. We decided to head out of town to the other side of Sicily, to the northwest corner in a region called Trapani.
Italy finally opened up, so we went to the west side of the island.
We drove 3 hours to Trapani.
The food in Trapani is very local and regional. They're known for their tuna, their couscous dishes, particularly with seafood, and also a special type of pasta called buziate.
Chapolin.
I nostri amici ci hanno detto che ci sono molti posti bellissimi in Trapani.
The heart of downtown Trapani is on sort of a peninsula, and so it's surrounded by water on 3 sides, and that makes it very windy.
Trapani is a very windy city.
We took a ferry boat to Favignana. Yacht ferry boat.
In Favignana, we rented and rode bikes around the island.
You could bring a car, but most people don't. It's mostly a pedestrian island, and a popular thing to do is rent bikes.
Bikes in Italian is beachy.
A lot of Italians don't wear helmets, so they didn't have any for us, and we had to be safe.
Since it's not exactly the high season yet and wasn't very crowded, it was a great time to get the kids on bikes and just ride all over the island without much traffic or busy people around. Half of the island is mountainous and the other half is kind of flat, so we biked all around the flat area, and one of the parts that I wanted to see was a beach with a beautiful overlook called Cala Rossa. So we biked all the way there. It was a little more vigorous biking than I had anticipated, but the views were worth it.
We rode our bikes to see oceans and cliffs in Favignana.
Bike riding for a few hours was a lot of activity, and it happened to be during Evan's nap time, so when I felt a clunk on my back, I looked back and sure enough, he had fallen asleep and just fallen forward on me.
The next day, we went to a city on top of a mountain called Erice.
Erice.
Another can't miss spot when you're staying in Trapani is to go to Erice, which I think is how you say that. It is an old medieval town at the very top of a very high hill. It afforded awesome views. The kids got to kind of run around a castle. There was a little playground there, and then we had an amazing lunch. But most of it is just a tiny town above the sea.
There was a city with a castle. I only remember the castle, really.
On our last day of sightseeing, we met up with some friends that also happened to be in the area and drove about 30 minutes south to Marsala to visit the salt pans.
Marsala.
Salt in Italian is sale.
A lot of Mediterranean sea salt comes from this area, and learning about the process was really fascinating. I'd never seen anything like it before.
The best Mediterranean salt is made in Marsala.
It has something to do with the coastline being right below sea level, so the water flows in, but then the sun is bright enough to evaporate it off, and it makes salt crystals. All cultivated by hand, which was very interesting.
In Marsala, it was really windy too, and we got to see a salt farm, and we went to the top of a windmill.
Most of Europe still has some travel restrictions in place, but Italy is wide open now to people who already live here. So as much as we've loved the past, 10 months in Sicily, we are ready to get off this island and go see what the mainland has to offer.
Ciao, ciao!